Do you want to go backpacking or trail running with me? Well, this episode is probably the one for you. We talk about a race that is an Everest last person standing. So it's like 1,200 feet every lap, and you end up doing an Everest every 24 hours. So dibs on setting one up in Montana because it sounds awesome. And we get into Northeast Trail Adventures. And so Eli Burakian and Justin Chapman started Northeast Trail Adventures. And I'm going out there to the Northeast where there is a retreat. And I will be one of the leaders. It's like camp or something. We can go out there, play some cornhole, play some, I don't know, whatever other games, tag, freeze tag, Red Rover, and go run in the mountains, hike in the mountains, the White Mountains, the coveted, scary White Mountains, teach you everything you need to know, and can share some stories. It's a really cool field. I signed on to be a part of it when I talked to them a couple different times, and they pitched this idea of it's not just like guiding and going out and doing stuff, but it's also the hanging out, getting to know people, talk to people, have them ask you questions, and become more of a community in person. And it's something I've been preaching a lot. And so that is kind of the backbone of this episode. We talk about the race they put on, which is that Everest last person standing. And then we also get into the retreat that they put on. And so they have a bunch of good mentors out there. I believe that's what we're calling it. Like Alyssa Godesky's out there. They're both Justin and Eli both have a lot of experience out there between FKTs, ultra running, and the classic routes in the white. So if you are interested, just go to northeasttrailadventures.com. You can check out stuff there. Use code FREEOUTSIDE, and I think you get like $100 off or something. And there's some cheaper ways to do it, whether it's tent camping, but they also have basically a lodge setup and community meals, and it'll be really cool. So check that out. And this is the episode where we talk about a lot about the Northeast, a lot about fast packing, a lot about adventuring, and a little bit about community. Today on the Free Outside podcast, we have Justin and Eli. I want to start with so the Northeast is sort of a mystery to a lot of people who haven't been there. I want to dive into how rugged it is. And to start, I remember on the AT this summer, my legs would like wake me up at 3 a.m. with how much they cramped up. Like your mountains are next level brutal out there. What's the draw for you guys? What do you like about them? Justin, you can go first.
Yeah, I take that one for sure. So I had the great fortune in the summer of 1999 to be Appalachian Mountain Club trail hut crew at Lonesome Lake Hut, which if you're northbound, that's the very first hut on the AT after you come across from Hanover on over Moosilauke, and you're making your way into the true heart of the Whites. And the number of times AT northbounders rolled up to the hut and said, "There's something wrong with your maps." They're like, "I can do 22 miles a day. I can do 20 miles a day easy. I'm getting like 9 or 12 right now." And I'm like, "Yeah, did you look at like the contour lines at all?" And they're like, "No, there's just someone didn't, the numbers aren't right." I was like, "No, the numbers are right." But, I think it's true. It is the Granite State. There's a lot of step ups. I think a lot of the trails were designed less for pleasure and more for point to point efficiency as far as just getting from one spot to the next. Many of the trails are quite old. They've got a lot of history behind them, and I don't think they're as big into switchbacks. It took time, and so they were just banging them out. Yeah, that's it. But Eli?
They spent their time, instead of making switchbacks, they just painted blazes on the side of the mountain and said, just walk straight up it.
Sometimes built steps. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The trail will create itself.
Yeah. How about you, Eli? How did you get into the White Mountains and your experiences out there?
Yeah, for me, it was related to, I went to Dartmouth College, which is in Hanover, and, the Appalachian Trail goes right through there. And Dartmouth owns a hut up in the White Mountains, right on the side of Mount Moosilauke. It's sort of based after the AMC in a lot of ways. It was built in 1938, although they built a new one, but it's been running since then. And during college, after college, I managed the hut for a number of years, and so that was really my love for it. That's the first time I did the 4,000 footers, and I ended up writing a book about Mount Moosilauke and getting into photography, do a photography book about it. So that's really where I fell in love with it. And obviously, just living up here, those are our trails. Like, if
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah,
hiking, you're gonna go to the whites, or you're gonna go to
It,
the greens, and
it is,
either
it
way,
is,
they're pretty rugged.
yeah, it is
yeah.
kind of funny if you grow up in this area. I mean, of course, it feels rugged, and you're putting an effort in when you're moving through the mountains. But my parents were big into hiking, and they did all the 4,000 footers. And I would never say they were dragging my brother and me along, but we were game to do it when we were young. But it was just kind of like a couple times a summer kind of thing. We would do a hut overnight or just go out for some day hiking. And then when I was I guess 23, 24. I hiked the long trail, and that was similar, similar terrain. Uh, and then I went out and hiked the Mirror Trail the
Uh-huh.
following year, or maybe 2 years later, 2002, 2003, and suddenly I was like, oh, things can be done very differently. Going just gently, from one spot to the next, and then I've done some hiking over in Europe 2 summers ago. My daughter and I and some friends went over and did the Tour de Mont Blanc,
Hmm.
refuge to refuge, multi-day. And again, some of that can get pretty steep, but a lot of it is very, very chill and very, relaxed pace. So, yeah, but
Yeah.
if you grew up here, you don't know any different. It's just like, well, that's what hiking is. So,
Yeah, it's just like reframing the pace of hiking because it's so different, like very
mhm.
moderate or slow pace in some of the groomed California carpet would be like the
Right.
fastest anyone ever goes in the White Mountains. I think people don't
Yeah,
quite realize that.
Yeah.
yeah.
What
I
are
mean, you
some
get like,
good stories
yeah.
on Moosilauke? If you wrote a book, tell us a little bit about Moosilauke. Let's dive into this. Would be the first major peak in the whites you'd hit if you were headed northbound on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of stories other than the fact that, I spent many, many seasons. All of the first year students at Dartmouth come through there, so they have a real connection to the place. Got to meet some fun people. Spent some time up there with Mindy Kaling. She was a student at
Oh.
Dartmouth at the time. So her best friend got like lost on the mountain. We had to go find her, and we like found a rock like written in spit, like we're okay. So, um, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just just spending. I lived in a cabin, looked at the mountain every day, could go up it all the time. It was awesome. And then yeah, of course, coming from Route 25, you have 4,000 vert from 25 to the summit. It's one of the longest climbs in the whole AT,
Mm.
Mhm.
of consistent vertical. So yeah, done a lot of stuff like that. There's some ghost stories on the mountain. It's got a long history. There used to be a building on the summit, as there were a number of peaks in the White Mountains. They used to have hotels back up there,
Mhm.
and there's these old carriage roads that would take you up there. So there still is like the old carriage road and a bunch of rocks up there, but nothing remaining up there anymore for
Well,
sure. And it's got some incredible waterfalls. That Beaver Brook is one of the steepest trails on the 18 in the whites, and that's got some awesome waterfalls. And yeah, for me that was just all my friends worked in Moosilauke. I got engaged up there, did a book about it. Like that's like that's a really special place. I've probably been up that mountain hundreds of times. So yeah, just absolutely love it. It's once 4,000 feet is the tree line in New Hampshire, and there's 48 peaks above that. Not all of them really are above tree line, but the majority are. And so Moosilauke's the first one you hit that's really like truly acres of terrain above tree line. So it's just
yeah.
awesome. I mean, obviously you get the roans and the balds and whatever on the AT, but nothing. That's the first true alpine summit you hit going northbound. And it's
And it's
just a
different
stunning
than
mountain.
most, yeah, different than most of the other summits in the Whites, the way it's opened up, and it has its own unique vibe to it. It's a really special mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very much up there. Like you're
Hmm.
above tree line for a lot of miles. In fact, I think it's less steep once you finally get above tree line. Like you can kind
Yeah,
of enjoy the view finally after
absolutely.
picking your way through the rocks. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
it's a
especially in the
good one.
Prezzies for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
that-
Yeah. So and you guys launched Northeast Trail Adventures. Let's get into that. So White Mountain Love. And then what was the impetus to you want to show people the White Mountains and make it something people can come out and see without that scariness of the scariest mountain in the world or something, as they call Mount Washington too, especially.
Worst weather in the world. Yeah. All right, Eli, do you want to go first or you want me to? Or?
Sure, I can go. Yeah, I mean, basically, we love the whites, and I'm a professional photographer by trade, been doing it for a couple decades now, and I write guidebooks and whatnot, and just when you've been doing something for a long time, you're sort of like your passion changes, and over the past decade, I've really gotten into ultra running, and just hiking in general, more day hikes now. I have small kids, but obviously backpacking, and the whites are just so special. Like you look out west and there's all these running retreats and places you can go, and you go to Europe and there's all this stuff, and there's like nothing out here. I mean, if you want to go, you could hire a guide or whatever, but there's no real chance to spend time with people in this amazing place and learn how to, traverse it efficiently and learn from people that have spent time there and can take you to the coolest places. So it's kind of twofold. One is just, an our excitement to like spend time with people we want to spend time with in a place we love and share our passion for this awesome environment and give people an opportunity to explore it in a way, and also like spend time together at night and share stories. And then the other part was just sort of moving away and like professionally, it may be another 10 years till this thing actually makes money. Last year was our first year, and both of our events were in the red, but here we are, year two. But just trying to move on to something that excites me, and like nothing. All I think about is hiking and running. Like literally, I'm obsessed with it. So you can ask my wife, and that's all I talk
Yeah.
about. So we decided let's do a running retreat and see how that goes. And last year we had a great sort of first go at it. Had some awesome leaders. Many of whom will be there this year as well. And then we had a race, and the retreat was sort of went pretty well. And then we had a race right here at Mount Ascutney in Vermont, and that one is called the Mount Ascutney Vertical Backyard. It's a backyard race where each participant does 1,209 vertical feet every hour, adding up to an Everest every 24. And this year, the winners went 90 hours, covering 108,000 vertical feet. So it blew our minds. We weren't quite ready for that level of competition. But
Kept looking at me.
real studs, like real awesome. And a 63-year-old versus a 23-year-old, so it was really cool. So that one went well, and we're going to host that again, and then we're having the retreat again. And this year, we're really focusing on hiking and running, and like making it fun and accessible for people of all abilities. So like, the whites are intimidating, but like there are ways that you can enjoy it if you just take your time, right? And like people show you where to go and hit the highlights. So, our goal really is just to just create an environment for people to have fun in the whites, do it safely, learn from experts, learn from each other, and just, have 3 days sharing. It's 3 days. I'm not talking about running and hiking to my wife. I'm talking about the people that give a crap,
Yeah. So
Nerd out.
wow.
Yeah.
So did you have any idea someone would do 3 Everest worth of vert in your race, Justin?
No, Eli. I think we talked about it early. And in my mind, I'm like, gosh, going 24 hours doing that would just be a lot, And then, but I figured there's definitely some crushers who are going to go past 24 hours. Eli, and you look at backyard races. I think Bubba's was 2019. That's the kind of premier backyard race, if you will, in New Hampshire, run by Andrew Drummond from Run the Whites and his whole fantastic crew. And that's a flatter. It's not a vertical race, obviously, but it's that first year. I was in it the first year, and I keep laughing and making a comment like, yeah, I came in fourth in that race. It's back in the day, and but fourth, I think I got 15, 16 laps, something like that. Did not take much to get fourth place, and there were 19 people in the race, and now it's like those guys are going. I don't know what the current Bubba's distance record is, but 140 something. It's up there. They're pushing it. So we kind of figured like, maybe 40, maybe 35, maybe 45 hours. Maybe that would be where they'd top out. And, we got there and there were still 4 people in the race at that point, I think.
Oh.
And then, Amber Constant made it to 63 laps, I think. And, at that point, the two can kind of look at each other and obviously you need that assist, you need that person that's pushing the other. But you've seen sometimes in these races where they kind of look at each other and say, have you had enough? Yeah, you've had enough. And they kind of like, you can see one's like willing to back off at that point and just say, they've done it. But these two were just so locked in and so positive and never seemed off their game, just seemed so dialed. And it just kept going. Eli keeps looking at me like, especially after we'd send him out because, 90 times we had to go to the start line and say, 10, 9, 8, 7, woo! And for 26 of those times, 25 of those times, it was just 2 guys, 2 people on the start line. They battled for over a day with each other. And so that Eli, we walked back to the Ascutney Outdoors ski lodge, kind of to recoup and put our feet up for 20 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes before they came back. And Eli would just look at me every time and go, what is happening? Like, what is happening? I don't know. I got to keep texting them. I just taken a new job with these wonderful employers and I had to keep emailing them being like, I don't think I'm going to be in tomorrow. I know I've burned through the 1 day of PTO I've earned so far, so we can talk finances later. But they were super supportive and really great. But
And like halfway through the race, like 50 hours in or whatever, we like find out that this race is like they're talking about on the single track pod.
Yeah.
And the race is not even over yet, and they're talking about like what's happening. I had to do a recap of the race like a day before the race even ended before it like got too old.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're like telling your new job that you can't come in because you have this race when you don't know when it's actually going to end that you direct, and they're like, who is this guy?
So I'd explained the concept to them, and they were interested, and I even showed them maybe the website. I don't know, the ultra sign up, so they had like a little vibe for what was happening. However, the PTO day that I took was the Friday, the day before, because Eli's over in Brownsville. He's been doing most of the heavy lifting to get this race up and organized, and I consult and talk and try to do some of the stuff in the background, but he's definitely doing the bulk of it. It's his baby and his inception and the whole bit. So, but I was like, I gotta earn the day of paid time off. I can cruise over there on Friday. Worst case scenario, this thing goes late Sunday, like. And I told my employer, I said, there's a possibility I might be exhausted. It's a worker safety company, so they're all for not driving when you're exhausted. And so I said, in the event that this thing ends at like 2 a.m. on Monday morning, I'm going to sleep for a while, help Eli get organized, and then I'll try to be back as early as I can. They're like, no problem. That's great. And Sunday night, I'm like, there were still a lot of people in there, I think, right? Yeah, at that point, there was still quite a few. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting home on Monday. It's just not going to happen. And they're like, no problem. It sounds great. They keep like encouraging. And then I have to write the same, like, apologetic email the next day. They're like, oh, we're all watching that work now. And then, so they got into it. And then when actually there's this digital board above our staff room that, the lunchroom that has like people's birthdays and, how many years they've been with the company or whatever. They just kind of rotate things through. And when I got back to work, there was this beautiful thing saying, Justin was involved in crewing, or not crewing, but race directing this race over in Vermont, and it went on for 90 hours, and it was nice to be welcomed like that at a new job. So yeah, it was cool.
It was a Saturday before Thanksgiving, so like I had planned to go to Philly on Tuesday. I was driving the whole family down, and we had to like change our whole Thanksgiving plans, and like it was. So I told my wife, like, we're never having Thanksgiving like outside. Like this year, we might even have Thanksgiving at the race, depending on how long it goes. So, turkey if you make it 4 days.
Yeah. How did it finally end?
That's a good question. So I'll take this if you don't mind, Eli. So we haven't talked about this part, but one of the reasons that makes this race unique and interesting, and it's Eli's genius, is that there are 2 options on the course. You could either take the main route up to basically the top of the old triple chair, and that is going to be up and down that basically same path is a 2.25 mile route, 1,209 feet of elevation gain and descent. but you can also go up. Both routes start up underneath the T-bar, and you can also
Hmm.
triple lap the lower section. The T-bar only goes up to about 400 feet of vertical. So if you do a loop where you don't come directly down that because it's a little too steep to be running down, but you go down a side trail, you do that 3 times. That also happens to work out to 2.25 miles and 1,209 feet of elevation gain. So Eli, because he's been up and down that mountain hundreds of times, has all the data on his watch. And he's like, I think if we run the trail this way, or he's always cooking up these plans. And sure enough, the numbers work. And so you could choose to either go to the top and come back down, or you could triple loop it. But you couldn't, short lap, we call them shorties, or a long lap.
Hmm.
You could not, like get aid if you were doing the 3 mini ones. You got some emotional aid because people will come out and cheer you on between laps, but you couldn't like drop a jacket or pick up food or anything like that. You just had to stay on course. So throughout this entire race, most people mixed it up. Most people at night chose to do the 3 shorter laps. I think both for psychological reasons, and also you didn't run through this icy patch. The section up higher had gotten quite icy and a little dodgy. But Connor Brown, who ended up winning the race, the captain, he never wavered. He'd been coming to that mountain for the month before, training on a pretty regular basis. He works construction, lives in Manchester, works construction up in Hanover. Would come down to the course after work, bang it out. You do coursework, laps on and that a little community of wonderful people started going there on the weekends and getting ready for this race. But Connor never wavered. He just would go to the top, come back down, go to the top, come back down. And Bill Tidd, who's Tour de Jaunt finisher, former Daratissima, Web on Daratissima record holder, and 63 years old. Connor's 24, Bill's 63.
And
He
current
did,
4,000 footers FKT holder. Like he's
yes,
he's
thank
like
you.
legit,
He's legit,
like
super
Hmm.
legit. Yeah, and both these people are the kindest people imaginable, but very, just steady and that they don't waver. But Bill had been mixing it up more, and the incline of that T-bar is so steep that it started to kind of wear on his calves, and so he kind of said to his he'd been doing basically short laps for quite a while, and he said to his wife Melanie, he said, I'm gonna do a full lap on this next one. It's killing my calves. And it was middle of the night. Fog had descended upon things. We'd already gone through a night of like snow squalls and things, and he, best our understanding is he went up, started to do a full lap, changed his mind,
Oh.
went, and you got to remember he's 90 hours in, so his mind is probably kind of playing with him a little bit. He decided to go back to doing short laps, and as he came down, he felt like he must have taken the wrong ski trail. And he probably hadn't, but he felt that he had. And so they said, well, the only
no,
thing
he
I can do
definitely
now is
haven't.
he definitely hadn't. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So he said to himself, I'm going to go to the top now. And so he was close to the bottom of one of the short laps, but turned himself around, started going up to the top, saw Connor coming down. Connor did his thing. And then Bill's doing the math, and he's like, I don't have enough time to do this. So he, at that point, just kind of folded, and but he'd done quite a bit of hiking already. Comes down, and it's very steep at the very bottom to get back to the finish line. And we all see him coming in. There's like 2 minutes left, and we're like, "Yeah, you got this, you got it." Assuming he had done it because there was no way for us
Hmm.
to know that he got into the top or hadn't gotten to the top. And he got excited because we're cheering him in, so he starts sprinting for the finish line. And then he's like, "That's it, I'm done." And they're like, "No, no, you made it in time. Turn around, get back on the line." And he's just such an honest, wonderful human being that he's like, "No,
Hmm.
I did not complete the course." And so then we all kind of look around, and we said, so that means Connor won. There was no like lap where that guy goes out for one lap on his own or woman goes out for one lap on their own. It just dawned on us that it was over. And but truly, they were both out there for 90 hours, and he probably did 1,100 feet of elevation gain in that last lap as opposed to
Yeah.
1,200 feet. I don't know how
And
far up
and
he
the
got in the
most
race.
amazing thing is, I mean, they weren't. Connor was still finishing with
Yeah, time.
7, 8,
Yeah.
9 minutes left per lap, and Bill was still finishing with 5 or 6. It was
Hmm.
not the physical element; it was the fog
The
and the
mental.
brain
Yeah.
fog that just like, he's like, I'm on the wrong trail. He turns around, goes up, and realizes he was on the right trail. It's just his
Yeah.
mind playing tricks on him. So,
Yeah.
it's who knows how long this could go because it wasn't
Yeah.
stopped. because of the physical reasons, you know. And I'm always looking at, you know, Phil Gore, I think has the record with like, was it like 108 hours or something at
Yeah.
the backyard now. So I'm like, all right, there's still plenty of time.
Wow. Were you guys in like disbelief that it was finally over? Were you in such a mode of this is just what our life is forever
Yeah.
that when it was over, it was like, oh, I guess we don't do this anymore?
Time to pack up. Yeah. And then we had to like clean the lodge and like, figure things out. But it was fine. It was great. It
And I
was
mean, I've
very,
done, you know,
very
and I've
elated.
done
Yeah.
so many hundreds and like
Mhm.
tons of FKTs, and this was like the hardest recovery of anything I've ever done. Like just race directing this thing, you know. I'm like, oh my God, I've been up for 90 hours. I mean, we tried to
Yeah.
sleep a little bit here and there, but it was really tough.
Yeah. I don't think we
Wow.
got
Yeah.
ourselves. I don't think we got more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep each during
It
that
was so cool.
stretch. Yeah. So
Yeah. While we're on this, was it the one single loop, do you think was there, or the one steep up all the way and back down? Was that the best method, or did kind of everything work and you don't know the answer still?
we've never done it. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I think it's a great question. And I think it could change conditions wise. If it got rainy, it might make more sense to do short loops. If it got, wind, different things lend themselves, and different people respond in different ways to those conditions. So, for Connor, up and down made sense. For other people, getting a little support along the way made sense. We're getting a break from exhausting the
Mhm.
legs in that way, mixing up muscle
Yeah.
groups
So
again.
how did you come up with the concept, Eli, on instead of the 100 miles every 24 hours and Everest every 24 miles? Because that's ingenious. It's such a fun little northeast spin on the concept and really cool.
Yeah, you know, it was something I've been thinking about for a while. You know, I'm not a fast person. Even with my FKTs, I'm sort of more on the creative side of things and the fast side of things. And like, you know, I look up to Laz a lot. I think he's like a
Mhm.
genius, you know. I mean, literally, he's a genius. And you know, he just finds new ways to challenge people. And if you spend much time in the Northeast, as we were talking about earlier, like mileage is kind of irrelevant here. People focus on
Yeah.
vert.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I went out and did, you know, this amount of vert. And, you know, we didn't realize how much of a craving there was for that. But
Mhm.
as soon as we listed this, you know, it took a while for people to catch on. But once people caught on, for about the 6, 7 weeks prior to the race, almost any day you could find people out here at the mountain training. I live like right at the base of the mountain. That's why I say here. You know, people were putting in 17, 18. People were having competitions before, and people were putting in 24,000 vert days as training days,
3 days.
like
Yeah.
just going out there and doing, and then doing the next night. And people, you'd see headlamps at night.
Yeah.
So we didn't realize how much of a thing, and then the race sold out, you know, and
Mhm.
um, part of it was due to like word of mouth, just people coming and spreading. Obviously, Will Peterson did a good job of helping
Mhm.
spread the word on his pod. And then of course, you know, we attracted some really uh, pretty heavy hitters in the New England scene. So we had an idea it was going to go pretty far. People were going to push it, but I mean, I think when you put yourself, you know, when you create a situation, we wanted to create a situation that allows people to be as successful as they possibly can be and to do so much more than they think they could. And I think one of the cool things about this race is we had like, you know, levels like badge levels really. Like you would earn your
Mhm.
Mount Washington level if you did like 5 laps. You hit Mount Whitney after 12. And to give you an idea, over half the runners, 38 out of 75 made it to Mount Whitney level, did over 14,000 feet
Wow.
straight. And that's
And
crazy, you
and
know. And
20
then
made
we
it to
had,
Mount
yeah,
Everest, right?
20, over a
20.
quarter of the
Yeah.
people did a full Everest up and down, you
Awesome.
know. So it just blew our minds what people were capable of. And, you know, my daughter was 9 and she did a few laps. We had a 71-year-old doing laps. I mean,
Yeah.
it was awesome. So really it was just a chance to sort of, yeah, challenge people in new ways and really focus on the vert. And it's been kind of cool. I actually hope that this format becomes a bit standardized. My wife is like, you got to buy verticalbackyard.com. So like during the race, I went
He
and
did
bought verticalbackyard.com.
on night 2.
But
Wow.
Bill Ted just sent me a text saying his friend is starting a vertical backyard up in Nova Scotia. it's 4 kilometers, but still 1209 feet per lap. In my mind, like a vertical backyard would be like anything between like 2 to 3 miles with 1209 vertical feet. I think some people might find a less steep course actually faster. Some people might just prefer to go straight up and down,
Mhm.
um, like do it in 2 miles. But
Yeah, the
anyways, it was
choice
cool. I think,
aspect
yeah,
is fun too. The choice on every loop is a fun element, especially because
totally.
that ultimately was part of the outcome too. Like when your brain's not capable of decisions, you still have to make decisions out there. So
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
fun way
And we
how
were
to end it.
wondering, like, and we talk about there's more a little bit on Will's podcast, and he said did sort of a rundown of the whole race with the winners. But, it's interesting. Like, we're like, oh, is Connor making it all the way to the top? I mean, not even. And he said he was just hallucinating, just basically following the glow sticks and the flags, having no idea. Luckily he was on the phone with his fiance, like during the race, like helping to keep him awake.
One, one thing we
So
did,
it was pretty cool to see like what would happen. But next year we're putting some trackers on people to make
yeah, so
sure, we did confirm he did make it the full way. But
we brainstormed a bunch ahead of time. Like, is there some system where they have to like, grab a playing card or do something to like show that they made it to the top? And at the end of the day, we're just like, no, we just need to, trust that people will do it. And did it, of course, did a little oath at the beginning of the race, and that went fine.
This show is brought to you by Janji, JANJI.com. Janji. Janji. I always spelled it like JOHN with a G. And I wrote that on like a tank top for my pre-race photo at Cocodona one year. It was pretty funny. Comes a sneeze. But go there and get anything you may need. Their trail tights do have won a bunch of awards. Their half tights have won a bunch of awards. I like their Ultra 5-inch shorts. They're starting to come out with their spring summer line, which will include some sun hoodies, some short shorts, some long shorts, some medium shorts, the snappy trekker hoodie, visors. Visors are back. Visors are so back, especially if you're in your 30s like me. So check them out.
But we grabbed a couple of those buttons from That Was Easy buttons from Staples, the big red button. That was easy. And we put those at the top. And Hannah, who's Connor's fiance, was oftentimes on the phone with him to make sure he was like keeping it together. And she said she would, just be listening and they weren't talking or anything. And then she'd hear, that was easy. And she'd be like, did you get to the top? Yeah. All right. And Daddy got so like, it was a little motivator to get up there. And yeah, I don't know.
so, and we even had
It
a
was
couple
fun.
races within the race too, which try to keep it fun. We had the options. We also had what was called the vert gobbler, so people could go an extra 200 vert above the top of the lap, pick up a playing card, bring it down. Whoever ended with the most. And like one guy, our friend Rob, he did 24 of those, ended up with an extra 5,000 feet of vert, in
He
the
didn't
24
skip
hours.
every single lap. He just went up and did the vert gobbler and just would reveal his card when he came back down again. And
And then we had
Lyle
a cash
Cortez,
lap.
let me jump into Lyle Cortez also did the vert gobbler for every lap, I believe, except for the cash lap, which was lap 6. And he banged that out in 21 minutes. He's a young kid, incredibly fit runner, and he just crushed it. But he did not didn't vert gobble on that one, but he went home with $100 and he said, this is going right in the bank.
So fastest lap got $100. Is that how that went?
Yeah.
For one lap. Yeah.
You gotta have a prize if they get a full deck of cards worth, like they do 52 for like a big prize or something.
Next year, Jeff, you got to come out and earn that.
Yeah,
earn the full
exactly. Yeah, it seems like you're the guy who's gonna get the full deck.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, let's shift gears back to the more the community building trail side of it. So what's kind of the structure of the weekend, and what's the schedule? How are you doing like a community event of all different skill sets, abilities, while also introducing them to the whites and not having an experience for a number of people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, Jeff, is that you'll be joining us on this retreat.
I will.
That's right.
I hope I said that in the intro, but yes.
Yes, please say that in the intro. We're excited to have you as a leader, and just just be able to share stories and your time on trail. I mean, I don't think there's barely anybody that has more more miles than you, and especially that quickly. So I'm sure people will love to hear it. But the basic idea is to just bring in extra. I mean, maybe that's the first thing we could talk about is who's going to be there for the leaders. It's me, and I have a decent amount of running experience. I've done 1600s, a bunch of FKTs. I write hiking guidebooks. I know the area real well. And I think what I bring to the table is someone who's managed to stay fit on a moderate amount of consistent work. I've been running straight for 10 years, but I'm putting in 7, 8 hours a week on average, nothing
Hmm.
crazy. And I have 2 little kids. And I think that's kind of one that I want to show people is like, you can get a lot done with a little if you're consistent with it. And so yeah, there's that obviously, and Justin can talk about himself. I will bring up, I guess I can bring up the 2 leaders, and I can talk about the schedule a little bit, and then Justin can bring up the others. So one of the other leaders we have on board is Alyssa Godesky, and those who are into FKT should know her pretty well. She had the long trail record, the 4,000 footers record, the Adirondack 4,000 footers record. She's finished God knows how many Ironmans, and I think last
27,
week
I
or
think. Yeah.
week or two ago she just finished the Winter Spine race. I think she finished fourth women overall. I mean, she is just amazing, positive spirit. She's a local now, has lived in the Upper Valley for a while, and knows the area, and is just great to have her on there. And I think coming from a triathlon background, she can sort of think about like whole body stuff, and she does a lot of really adventuring and the team adventure racing
Hmm.
as well. And then we've got Jim Anderson, who's another local. He's a local triathlon coach, has been coaching for years and years, been competitive. Hosts a podcast called The Endurance Drive. I recommend listening to it. He and Katie host this podcast, and it's great, mostly about triathlon, but also fair amount of trail running and ultra running in there. And he actually has a house like half mile from the retreat. So we're
That's
psyched to have
convenient.
him on
Yeah.
there. Yeah, he knows this place so well. And then just describe where we are a little bit. We're at Hub North, and this is like an awesome place. Like, less than 10 minutes from the trailheads to the best mountains in the Whites. I mean, to the Presidential Range. And we've got, I think, 2 yurts, 3 big bell canvas tents, a big lodge, a pavilion, disc golf, and yeah, tons and tons of room on there. And the way we're doing it is you can sort of get a place on your own. You can get a yurt on your own. You can do double occupancy, and we can get into more specifics if we want to. You can stay in the lodge, or people who want to save some money can even just bring a tent or a camper van, use all the facilities. We'll have kitchen, bathroom, showers, big room, and then just crash where you want to crash. And our goal this year is not like we made this as affordable as possible for people to be able to do this without us losing our shirts, which is
Hmm.
even
Yeah.
close to doing. And then the idea is, it starts on June 5th, so people will come on Friday night if they can. It's not required, but we'd love for people to come share dinner, just hang out, play games. And then we'll go on runs or hikes starting on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's 3 nights and 3 days of hiking and running in the Whites. We hope to get above tree line in the Presidential Range at least one of those days. There's also some great hiking and running right near the retreat in the Randolph Mountain Pass, and great waterfalls, just all sorts of cool places to explore. And we have enough guides, leaders, and experts that we can have multiple excursions per day. So our idea is to probably have one that's a little harder and a little longer, maybe a little faster, and one that's moving at whatever pace people want to move at. And want to emphasize this is for people of like all abilities. Like as long as you
Hmm.
can run and hike 5 or 6 miles, you are good to come to this, and you will have a good time. And then the
And it's
chance is
yeah,
just
it's really community building too, I think on top of it
yeah,
is I think that's especially in these times it's like really honing in on that commonality and then learn about other people whether you live in the whites or want to see them and they're scary. I think that's the draw to be a part of it and cool is because all the stories of the whites are or Mount Washington too is just like how scary, how hard, how difficult it is and it's like this is a good entry point, whether a through hike's in your future or an ultra or even just hut to hut stuff in the whites is like it's so much to know. And this is such a good entry point, I think, in whether you're running 100 miles flat in Texas or walking 3 miles wherever. It's like there's something for you out there. And that's the cool thing of especially base somewhere. Like there's hiking groups or groups where they meet at a trailhead, but then the story kind of ends at the end of the hike. So I think that shared
Right, yeah.
meals and stuff is really cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You totally hit the nail on the head. It's really about the community, and I think all the other time outside of the hikes and the runs are what are going to make what makes us special. I mean, we're right next to a campground. There's a big pond we can go swimming in, and there's disc golf to play, and I mean, we just want to sit around a table and share poop stories.
Last year, if I could jump in at this point, we were fortunate to have David Sinclair join us, as well as his partner, and so it was really nice to have. And they're both fantastic endurance athletes. Obviously, David and uh, both skied for Dartmouth. Anyhow, that first night, you're basically sitting there with a world-class runner, and we're playing some caveman poetry game, sitting around the table in this beautiful space. Hub North has beautiful artwork on the walls. It's cozy as can be. My 18-year-old daughter is with us. She's one of the coaches as well. I'll talk about her in a second. And then there were a couple other guests. We had dinner together, and then we're just playing board games together, and getting to just kind of know each other. And then the next day we went out. We got up on the Prezzies. That night, as Eli and I are cooking dinner for people getting the dinner going, everyone's out in the gorgeous field. The presidentials, you can kind of just see them off in the distance over the tree line, but they're playing disc golf and playing cornhole, and everyone gathers around for dinner. And we've got Jim Anderson. He came down. He was dealing with a little injury, so he didn't hike with us that day, but came down, and everyone's just talking about their experiences and asking advice and sharing stories of all kinds. And it was just very, very relaxing. Breakfast, same sort of thing. Everyone just sitting around catching up. We all, after that presidential day, we all went for a swim at Moose Brook State Park, which is a trail walking distance from Hub North. Perfect location. Bunch of trails in there too, both for mountain biking and for running. Um, yeah, and we had a range, so Ada, my daughter, Ada Chapman, she is a Western Colorado University student. She's on their trail running team and has been on their Nordic ski team. She was a Nordic skier growing up, and she cut her teeth in the White Mountains. Her older brother, my son Eli, lives out in Los Angeles. He loves mountains too, prefers chairlifts over trails. But they're both big skiers, and they spent tons of time in the mountains. They did spend some time. We did some section hiking of the Long Trail when they were young, and a lot of hiking in the Whites. But Ada really took a shine to it. Her mother is a fantastic hiker as well. She bangs out all 48 4,000 footers every year. Has done that for the last 6 or 7 years, and is deep into it all. So Ada, at age 14, I think, I had maybe the summer before had done a Pemi Loop, and she starts looking at all this stuff and is like, "Think I could do a Pemi Loop, Dad?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I think you could. It's gonna be a long day, but like, yeah, we could plan that out. Let's just pick our weather window." And both her mother and I are school teachers. I taught in Sandwich, New Hampshire, which is on the southern edge of the White Mountains, Sandwich Range, for 22 years. And we have the summers off, so we have the flexibility to pick weather windows that make sense. So we kept an eye on that. And sure enough, she and I went out. That next year, she was 14 years old, and we did a Pemi Loop together. And we got to the top. We did it clockwise. We get to the top of Mount Bond, and she starts looking at her watch, and I can't exactly remember what number she had in mind. I think it was 10 and a half hours, maybe 10 hours. And she starts looking at her watch and going, "Dad, I think if I basically drop you here, I can get my time that I've got." I was like, and she'd been over Bondcliff, done Z-Bunch Traverse a couple of times, and so she knew the way out. And I was like, "Yeah, go for it. Like, I'll see you when I get there." And so down she goes, and then I am finishing on my own. I'm trying to move as well as I can. And I don't know if you know the Pemi Loop, but if you're going clockwise, it's got 5 miles of railroad bed at the end, which can just seem ridiculous after, uh, you know, 9,000 feet of elevation up and down during, 4,000 footers during the hike. And I see her running back towards me with about a mile left to go. And she's 14 years old. And I'm looking at my watch. I'm going for 11 hours at this point. And she says, how you feeling? I said, I feel pretty good, but I'm just not going to, it's going to be a couple minutes shy of 11. She goes, what? She goes, you got it if you want it.
Garage Your Own Gear is our next sponsor, garageyourowngear.com. I used a number of stuff from their site for setting the Appalachian Trail record. One was the LT5 trekking poles, which worked great. I used the solo tarp from Gossamer Gear that I got through that site. They got pillows, I got sleeping pads, I got sleeping bags, I got backpacks, I got shoes, socks, food. Check them out. And they're small businesses that you're supporting. It's like a marketplace for small businesses. So check them out over there.
I was like, all right. And she goes, I'm going to pace you. And meanwhile, she had just done it. She's like, I'm going to pace you. And then I'm going to tell you when to sprint. And I was like, all right. And so sure enough, I stopped looking at my watch. I just started staying with Ada. And there's a suspension footbridge at the end. And, with, 400 yards to go, maybe not quite that much. 3 yards ago, she goes, go now. And I sprint. And there's, there's tourists hanging out on the suspension bridge. And there's this crazy, middle-aged man coming across this bridge for no apparent reason in total chaos. And I stop and I squeeze my watch and I look down, 10 hours, 59 minutes, 52 seconds. And I was like, wow. Like, then she comes across, she goes, did you do it? I was like, yeah. So, I was laughing. I was cheering, I was like so excited. And that's her spirit. She brings positivity. Every Nordic ski team she's ever been on, she has been the one putting glitter on people's faces, the one, telling kids who are just learning how to ski that today's going to be a great day for them. She's not just about the elite skiers. She spent plenty of time. She paced Eli for 45 miles at Western States. They've got him into the golden hour at Western States. Like he finished with 29 hours and 46 minutes or something. And Eli is probably the first one to say if it hadn't been for Ada, he might not have finished that race, and then therefore wouldn't have finished the Grand Slam that summer. But she's deep into it. When she was 15, she got into looking at the Women Who FKT, which the website and Instagram. The idea there is, you got all these men out there battling for all these FKTs. What about FKTs that just don't even have a woman entry number in there? And she, sitting up in her bed at night, writing down all the routes and the whites that don't have women on them yet. And she's like 15 years old and goes, Dad, double Pemi is not, there's no woman, there's no man, there's a man, but no woman recorded. And I was like, double Pemi? You want to do a double Pemi? And she had just done Bubba's the year before and had gone, 24 hours. She goes, well, I know I can go for 24. No, that wasn't 24 hours. I'm sorry. Whatever it was, she felt confident that she could do it. And so we put together a little crew of adult friends, people that her mother and I run with, and gave them the week that we're going to be looking for, and then said weather window in here, try to stay flexible. And my friend Russ and my friend Chris and another one, they all Ashley, they all said, yeah, we're here for it. And so Russ and Chris went out and did the first Pemi Loop with her. So you got these two, athletic men doing this thing. And then they had to go home or whatever. And we all had lunch together at Lincoln Woods. And then she and I went out together. And as I'm cresting Lafayette, I'm looking at the sunset. And I get bracer, we're up on top of Liberty. And Ada goes, I got a confession to make. And I said, what's that? She goes, last night as I was falling asleep, I realized maybe I've bitten off more than I could chew. And I don't know if I can do this. I was like, well, you're doing great. Like, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And, stay steady. And she goes, no, but then I thought to myself, well, who cares? It's the best thing I can do with my time. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And so, if I fall short, at least I spent a full day in the mountains. And I was like, and she goes, and all these kids, I think about the people that inspired me, and I'd love to be an inspiration. And she just has such a great attitude. So off we go across the ridge, and I'm all smiles, and we're going up Lafayette, and I just am looking at the sunset, and I misstep and smash my upper thigh knee into a rock. And I've done that plenty of times, so I'm like, all right, that's be fine. But coming off of North Lafayette and down up over Garfield, I'm thinking to myself, I'm slowing her down like significantly. Like I'm not moving as well as I should. And our friend Ashley was going to meet us at Garfield, which is basically, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 miles to go. I texted her and said, Ashley, I think if your car is at the Garfield, there it's McGill River Trail, how do you feel about me going down the GRT, taking your keys and going back to Lincoln Woods and waiting for you guys and you just do it alone with Ada? And she said, yeah, no problem. And she's a single season winter of the 48. She's, pretty close to her grid, I believe. She's very capable, incredible athlete. And so it was so special to like hand Ada off to a woman who is a crusher in the mountains. And I just
Mhm.
pieced out and mellow walked down the 4 miles back to the car, and then I went around and grabbed my sleeping bag and a thermarest and just laid down by the bridge. And I didn't know what time they're gonna come in. There's no reception in that section, so I just laid down there and waited for them. And a few hours later they came across the bridge, and I think she did it in like 22 hours, and so I can't remember her time. But no other woman is bested. I'm sure there's some people out there. Yeah, it was like I would love to see what people can do because there's so many great female runners in the whites right now. So I'm gonna grab it. So please do that if you haven't, if you got the idea to go crush that. Yeah, so she's amazing. And then one of her inspirations growing up is a woman named Hillary McCoy. Hillary will be coming as a guest. So Ada is, let me back up to one second. Ada is a uh, exercise sports science major at Western Colorado University. She's been on their trail running team, the Nordic ski team. She skis Big Mountain. She just got back from skiing in Japan for 10 days. She's just tons of positive energy all the time. And she would love to be a coach and a PE teacher when she gets older. So this is right up her alley. She has always been inspired since she was a kid by a fantastic person and athlete and physical therapist, Hillary McCloy. Hillary, as I think a 17-year-old, made the U.S. alpine ski team. I believe she grew up in Vermont. Her partner is Andrew Drummond, who runs Run the Whites and White Mountain Ski Company, and they do fantastic events all over the Whites for people of all kinds, and have built an amazing community there. Hillary is a highly skilled physical therapist. She came up for our retreat last year. She can just talk about body mechanics and things that you don't think about when you're dealing with this nagging thing or that, or just ways to position your body to run more efficiently. She did a workshop with us last year. And we've hired her to come again and spend a day with us. She has her own business and practice in Jackson, New Hampshire, so she can't commit the full 3 days, but she'll be there for a full day. She'll go running with us. She's a great conversationalist. She just finished um, the, a movie about Laura Waterman, who was part of the first all-female winter presidential traverse. I don't know, 30 years, 40 years ago, a long time ago, and there's a great video on it right now. And Hillary was part of the remake of it to kind of give a feel for it. And she brings so much positive energy and so much knowledge. Uh, you can sit and talk to her about little things that are challenging for you with your body mechanics, and she just calmly helps you understand why that happens and how to correct it. And I just think there's nothing she doesn't know about the muscular skeletal system. And Ada, Ada will go up there when she's back in New Hampshire in the summertime. She'll drive once or twice a week up to Jackson from where Ada and her mother live in Moultonborough, New Hampshire, and go to Hillary's studio, because Hillary puts on these free workshops, or I don't know, free, but like highly discounted workshops for teenage kids who want to become strong trail runners and strong endurance athletes. And she's just
Wow.
so giving. And Ada is more than happy to drive an hour up to the Mount Washington Valley to spend time with Hillary and learn from her. And yeah, so I just feel, the people that we've been able to gather, Hillary herself knows the White Mountain. She, skis Tuckerman Ravine. It feels like most days if you follow her Strava.
Yeah.
She did the long trail last summer. Had a great experience in the long trail. She's done some of the stuff as part of UTMB over in Europe. So all these people have stories. They all have experiences. They all are passionate about moving in the mountains efficiently and confidently and staying strong. You can sign up for Hillary's online workshop, Powder Hour, which is a a pre-ski season, like, exercise program to make sure you're fit and ready to hit the ski season strong. And, all these people, Jim Anderson, Eli mentioned, Endurance Drive podcast, and just also knows a lot about the human body and what it takes to be a successful lifelong athlete. So it's not just about, people in their younger years crushing in the mountains and then retiring. It's about people consistently staying out there. I'm 50 years old. Eli's just a year or two younger than me. Like, um, we love to be out there. We love to keep moving, and you don't have to give it up. You might change the way you go about it, but it's a great sport and a great community. And I just feel really lucky to be able to spend 3 days, 4 days with all these people, whether we're playing board games or taking in vistas. It's just great to be out there. So
Yeah, and age is not a limiter. Just look at Bill Tidd and what he's
exactly
done
right.
in his, like,
Harvey,
he's
Bill,
incredible.
all of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love is, like, these mountains are special in the community as well, and you're just combining that into an event rather than like going somewhere else. But like, your life has involved these mountains, so many special moments. You could talk for hours, I'm sure, of all the stories within classic routes or less classic routes, and all the mountains, or staying up at the Moosilauke hut and stuff for while you're at Dartmouth and stuff. I think that part is the feel good part of it all, of just like, these are such huge parts of your life, and it's like, let's get more people
Yeah.
interested, exposure, knowledge, and the tools to actually go use them, because from an outsider, they are the most like intimidating mountains in, for sure, the
Are you
country, I
are you
would say.
nervous, Jeff? Are you worried about being able to hang? I mean, you're gonna be okay.
I was so
we'll
nervous
hold your
going
hand. We'll get you through it. It's gonna be fine.
I was really nervous going through them in 2016, actually, because it is like scary. It was ice season, it was winter, and it's just like, man, I know these are next level. So I totally get it, and it's okay if people are intimidated, and that's kind of the point of
Yeah.
these types of things. And I think there's just,
So
it's harder to know who's doing what, or latch on to a group sometimes if you're not right in the thick of it. So this is a really good entry point for people too. Our next sponsor is Sawyer. Tick and mosquito season is starting, so check out Sawyer products. They're at Walmart, Cabela's, REI, for permethrin, picaridin, the Sawyer squeeze filter. Me and Allison love the Stay Put sunscreen because it just stays put all day. One application and you're done. Easy.
absolutely. And to piggyback on this, I mean, Eli, and I were talking a little bit earlier today, and he was saying, I want people to realize that, last year we tried to do it kind of midweek because of the whites can get kind of crowded during the weekend. We will hopefully pick routes that are less crowded and pick times to get out there that it won't feel quite as overwhelming. But it was hard for people to break away during the week to take time off in the summertime because people's calendars are so scheduled. So we decided, no, we're going to do a Friday night arrival. But you don't have to be there right at a certain time. If you come in late, that's fine. But everyone's there, ready to go Saturday morning, Sunday, and then we'll depart on Monday. After a day of getting out there. However, if you're coming from a farther distance, if you work in Boston, live in Boston, something like that, you can be up for the weekend and basically just make it a 3-day weekend, and you'll be fine. But if you're coming from farther away and you get to the White Mountains, we would recommend that you arrive, that Friday, kind of get oriented. We will hang out with you, spend time with you in the evenings. We can take out maps, lay them on the table. If you want to take the whole week off, we will give you recommendations, talk to you about where water is, where it's not, depending on how the season's going, all those things. I mean, June will be fine water-wise, most likely, but all the things that might allow you to then spend Tuesday in the Whites. Maybe you book a hut stay Wednesday night with the Appalachian Mountain Club, or you decide to go to Gray Knob, Randolph Mountain Club. Do something, or you maybe go over and do a Moosilauke, traverse or something. But we can talk to you in the evenings on our hikes. We can go past a trail junction and say, that's what you want to do for a big loop. If you want to do a Pemi loop or a Prezi traverse or something like that, we can talk to you about that. And, not just us, but Hillary and Jim and Ada and, all these people that have a depth of knowledge that is really special. I learned things, last year, and tons of things. I plan to learn more this year. It's not, we feel like we're knowledgeable, but everybody else brings knowledge of their own as well. And we're, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody in the group, but I know, like, my daughter's home from college. She has done some guiding in the past. She has coaching credentials. She has said, if people want to hire me for a Tuesday or Wednesday, I'd be happy to, take them for for some more movement. We have the guiding permit lasts all summer. So certainly people associated with Northeast Trail Adventures could be, legitimately guided in the White Mountains on those days afterwards. But we could also get you to the point where we can point you in the right direction. You can do your own thing based on what the weather's looking like over the next few days. And after we say our goodbyes on Monday, you and, other people that came as guests can go off and do their thing and feel confident because they've done it with some people that have the background, and now they're doing it on their own, and now take some of that fear away about the White Mountains, and they can feel confident that they can be safe and enjoy themselves. So that's our hope.
Totally.
Come back year
Yeah.
after year. Yeah. We are
Yeah.
anti-gatekeeping. Like, we want people to get out there, have fun, soak it up, do what's comfortable, and go for it.
Yeah. Let's unpack one topic here before we start wrapping it up. So, Eli, what is the difference between hiking and running in the White Mountains? Is there any? Come on.
Talk about getting
I would like to
insurance
think
last year.
so. If you're David Sinclair, you can run anything. If you're a normal human being, the likelihood is you're not. Yeah, I mean, I think, our guiding concept is just move efficiently through the mountains, right? And
Mhm.
whatever that form takes. Most of the time you're going to be hiking. I mean, I think, Jeff, you can tell us. I mean, you average 50 miles a day on the AT. What percentage of that were you running?
I mean, a trot at best, but
Yeah,
not a large percentage. I think
right.
most of and I've always had this sentiment and saying too, is like most of the time you can make up on any of these is it's just efficiency, whether that's where your food is that you're going to eat on your hike, or where you stow your water bottle, or not
Yeah.
having to take your pack off. That's the easiest way to move faster, is to
Right.
just be moving the natural speed you
Totally.
move.
Yeah.
So.
And I think those are the things, those are the experiences and tips that, we're looking to
Mhm.
share with the guests. But basically, they're in the Randolph Mountain Club area, those trails, there's definitely some very runnable sections. As soon as you're into the Northern Presidential Range, it's all rocks. There will be short sections of running, but last year we called this a running retreat. This year we're calling it a running and hiking retreat. And again, it's just like, it's so funny putting these terms on these things. I mean, how many FKTs are running and hiking, or I mean, we're probably gonna have a day where we only do skipping, or you know,
I've got
Yeah.
video. Eli's a big skipper. Yeah, we could find that. Yeah.
Galloping,
sometimes we like
maybe.
to only
I like
use
to
our
see
left
galloping.
leg in most ascents. Don't use the right leg. So we'll try all different methods, but really it's just about moving efficiently through the mountains and doing what you said. Like, what small things
Mhm.
can we do to make our traverse of these peaks and these trails easier and faster? And
Yeah.
truthfully, I mean, one of the things that the race showed was, like, when you're with people and you're having conversations and you're having fun, it goes by so much quicker, and you realize that you can do things you didn't think when you're in your own head you couldn't do. So it's going to really open up some opportunities for people. And Mount Washington's in the clouds like over 200 days a year. The weather's up there is rough, so we can't guarantee you're going to have like primo conditions, but there's so many awesome places to go that even when it's pouring rain, like, we can hit some really cool spots.
Check out the website, www.northeasttrailadventures.com, because Eli just put a bunch of photos up from last year's retreat. And we did get a primo day above tree line in the Prezzies, and it is a pretty special place. So, well, fingers crossed for that again. But if it doesn't happen, we'll be doing waterfalls, or we'll be doing, lush forest over on the Randolph side or something. It's going to be wonderful
Slip and
no matter where we
slide.
end up. Slip and
Yeah.
slides. You got it. Yeah. It's all going to be good. It's all
Yeah.
going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah. And is the last person standing, is that have you increased the size this year, or is that already sold out? Second.
We haven't even opened registration. Our
Gotcha.
town has a lot of sort of permitting stuff, so it's 100% happening, and it will be the Saturday before Thanksgiving this year. So sign if you're interested, keep your eyes out. We'll be sending out notes.
Follow
I
us on
think
Instagram.
registration will
Yeah.
be in March, late March
Hmm.
probably for registration. We're opening up to 100 people. We decided to keep it. We had 75 last year. If we made it above 100, we'd have to rent a big tent and change the whole format of the thing. And so we've decided to keep it nice and small. So, yeah, if you're interested, definitely, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website and you'll get updates then. And we have obviously social
Instagram.
media,
Yeah.
but we are looking forward to doing that. And then we're also planning some other events, like I talked about the being creative. I have another race. We're scheming up at Mount Ascutney that involves a bunch of trail sort of choice during the race. Um,
Okay.
and it'll be really, really cool. Not like Barkley-esque, but definitely a fair amount of sort of like, explore options and it'd be
You'll
like,
know the mountain quite well by the end of that
yeah,
race.
yeah, you'll
Yeah.
know the mountain very well.
I've
So we
always
got that
wanted to
going
do
on.
a Oh, I've always wanted to do a race where you don't know how long it is, no one does, until, like, the night before when you, like, draw out of a hat if
Yeah.
they're running a 50K, a 50 mile, or a 100K. I think that
Interesting.
would be
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Well, it's kind
That
of what
would
a
be
last
funny.
person standing is, right? It's like I'm signing
Yeah.
up for this race, and like I have no idea. Even when they're trying to get the permits for the town, you're like, I don't know. This could be over Sunday. This could be,
We'd
you
only
know,
we'd only booked to Scotty Outdoors for 2 days last
yeah,
year, and this woman Shelley, who's the president or whatever of the organization, she was so gracious. But we had to keep, not only was it, I having to tell my boss that I wasn't going home, we had to tell Shelley that she had to cancel any plans she had for AO going forward because I think they were going to bring in a end of the season cleaning crew or something, and we're like, well, maybe not Monday, maybe not
yeah,
Tuesday, maybe not Wednesday, maybe after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So yeah, the
Yeah.
unknown is part of the fun of testing the human spirit and seeing kind of like how you adapt. And yeah, but I think the retreat is kind of the antithesis of that. Whereas no one's going to be overly
Mhm.
challenged by the experience. You will feel challenged. You'll definitely be gaining vert, and your heart's going to get going. But it's really more about spending time with people that enjoy being in that space and telling stories maybe about big efforts and things and inspiring other people to test themselves and see what they're capable of. Humans are amazing, and it's just fun to see what people start thinking about and then thinking is possible. So
Humans are so amazing that race directors may undershoot how long people will
that's
be
right.
climbing up and down a ski resort.
Oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
They're
Well,
yeah.
thanks for
amazing
joining.
adventures.
Yeah, more information on what is it? Northeast Trail
Trail
Running
Adventures.
Adventures.
No, just northeasttrailadventures.com. Like so,
Yeah,
Northeast Trail
and I'll link
Adventures, all one
below
word.
too for
Awesome.
Yeah, and
everyone.
Facebook, Instagram, we'll have that.
Great.
One thing, and hopefully we can put this on show notes as well, but we are offering a discount code for listeners of Free Outside. So if you do sign up, there'll be a opportunity to put a discount code in there, $100 off for anyone who signs up using Free Outside code. And it's a small retreat to give you I mean, we're hoping for between 16 and 18 guests, and that's not a lot of people, so it could fill up fast. We hope it fills up fast. Um,
Mhm.
and so if you're interested, if you have any interest at all, just send us an email, info@northeasttrailadventures.com, or contact either of us, DM either of us, me or Justin, on our page, on Northeast Trail Adventures page. But like, if you're interested, let us know, and we'll make it work out. But again, we're trying to make this as affordable as possible and really keep it nice and intimate, so it feels
Yeah.
like family style meals, family setting, just like it's not some big 100-person thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So between
texting with
16 and 18, you're
yeah.
looking for 17, right?
yes,
That's the number.
you nailed it. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
then
got
We
it.
yeah,
decided prime numbers only.
yeah. And then how much is it? A little on that side?
So we have different options. It's like 15.99 for if you wanted a whole year or thing yourself. I think I should have these numbers down, but I think it's
Well, he's looking.
13.99 for the for if you do double occupancy, if you just want a tent or a camper van, it's $10.99. Then you get $100 off of that. So you could literally show up 3 days retreat, all your food, all your guiding, hanging out for under $1,000
Mhm.
if you did it
And
that way.
I think this is a good moment too. If you're like, say you're a coupled twosome, and one of you is deep into doing this stuff, and the other person is like, it'd be nice to be in the White Mountains and spending time with all these people, but I don't know that I really want to do it. We can, if you want to do a double occupancy with someone who's going to make sure they went out on the runs every day, we'll always try to have a 2-run option, something a little more strenuous and something a little more relaxed. But you could, if you decided for yourself that like, my wife is going to go out and do these runs every day, and the husband more just wants to kind of spend time in the whites and maybe go for more chill waterfall walks or whatever, we can point them in the right direction. They can do their thing during the day, and everyone's together for dinner, everyone's together for the talks, everyone's together for the game time, everyone's together for breakfast. Maybe we'll inspire the other person to push themselves
Mhm.
past their comfort zone and join us on day 2 or something like that. But don't feel like you couldn't, hopefully everyone wants to go running every day. But at the same time, if you know that the person that you'd like to come with is less into it than the other person, we'll make it work. Like we want people to enjoy the time with the people and with the people they care about, and all those sorts of things. So, yeah,
Yeah,
we
very
can be
low
flexible there.
pressure
Yeah,
environment, I think,
that's
is
right.
what we
That's right.
keep emphasizing here.
You got it.
Cool. Well, more links below for checking it out and everything. Anyone
Thanks, Jeff.
interested? But thanks for jumping on. This was great. You guys have a lot of stories of these mountains, that's for sure.
We do. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much for having us, Jeff.
All right.
And we are so excited to have you join us.
Yes.
We were talking about like who could we have on this retreat, and like, I'll speak personally, but I've been following you for years and just so impressed by like the joy and the passion that you bring to this, and it's obvious that you want to share this with other people, and that's why we thought that you would be such a great addition to this retreat. I read your book, listened to your podcast, and you're someone who's literally made a life of this, and I'm inspired by that because, like I said, I'm trying to switch careers. I'm never going to be the FKT athlete that you are, but I'm so inspired by how you've taken what you love and what you're passionate about it and turned it into a career. And we hope we can aid in that a little bit. And we are so excited to have you, all of your knowledge and all of your joy with the retreat. So we can't wait.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big thing I always preach is like finding joy in the process. And that is through community or through like learning from others, gathering knowledge. And this is like such a fun way to do that, is finding what motivates other people, or a mental trick if you're thinking of something harder in the future, or just enjoying hiking, but learning a way for it to be more pleasant, or a trick that, your backpack carries better. I think that's kind of the fun thing, and the knowledge sharing that we sometimes lose in a world so connected through the internet and less interpersonally. So I'm excited to actually be with people in person at a little getaway and enjoy
Nice.
some time in the brutal mountains that scared me a decade ago.
Wonderful.
So
It's going to be great.
thanks.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the show. Go to northeasttrailadventures.com to learn more about this retreat. And hopefully we're going to be putting out there that we're putting on a last person standing Everest type event, because I think it's like the best way to push the pacing to get in an Everest for anyone that wants to. And if we're like this event, it could go for 3 days. Since I work remotely, I could be working from the start-finish line forever or indefinitely. All right, that is all I got. Our last sponsor, CS Coffee, csinstant.coffee. Thank you for joining. northeasttrailadventures.com or on social media, code free outside. I think you get $10 off, or $100 off. Stay elite, my friends.